So, if you've ever tried to trade the financial markets, you know the feeling, right? That incredible challenge of it all. Well, today, we're going to dive into a framework from author and trader Lance Beggs that completely flips the script on how to learn this stuff. Forget about finding some magic system, because this is about something way, way deeper. Let's break it down.
All right, before we can even get to the solution, we've got to face a pretty difficult truth. It's the whole reason a totally different approach is so needed in the first place. I mean, wow. That is a brutal opening line from the author himself. There's no sugarcoating it. He puts this right up front because getting your head around this fact is the very first step toward actually beating the odds.
And yeah, the numbers definitely back him up. Now, there isn't an official government statistic or anything, but that failure rate is often said to be around 95%. Beggs even hints it could be worse than that. Now, look, this isn't to discourage you. It's to get real about the scale of the mountain we're trying to climb here.
So that leads to the one question that keeps so many aspiring traders staring at the ceiling at night. Why? Why is this so ridiculously hard? You see a pattern, you follow the rules of your system, but the results, they're all over the place. What is the fundamental piece of the puzzle that so many of us are missing?
Well, this right here, this is it. This is the heart of the problem. You see, the market is basically a machine that just endlessly churns out uncertainty. As Beggs puts it, it's the infinite variations of the patterns that will have you doubting and second-guessing your analysis. That perfect setup you saw last week, guess what? It is never, ever going to show up in exactly the same way again.
And that reality, that infinite variation, forces us to a totally different conclusion. It's the core idea of this entire explainer. You just can't fight an infinite opponent with a fixed, rigid set of rules. You have to make a huge mental shift.
You know, most people who get into trading, they live over here on the left side of the screen. They're on an endless hunt for a holy grail system they can just buy and turn on. But the professionals, they know that's a dead end. They're over on the right. They're on a trader's journey. And that's a path of personal growth and skill development.
So here it is, the big takeaway. You don't find a trading system. You become a trader. The system isn't some piece of software you install. It's you, your skill, your perception, your decision-making. That is your edge. So what does this journey actually look like in practice? Well, it's about building up these core human skills. It's about learning to actually see the market with more clarity instead of it just looking like a bunch of random noise. It's about managing risk so deeply that it becomes second nature. It's about making lightning-fast decisions when the pressure is on. And, you know, maybe the most important one of all, it's about getting truly, genuinely comfortable with that constant, unavoidable uncertainty.
Okay, so a journey of internal development, that sounds great, right? But how do you actually do it? What's the practical method for building these skills? Well, that brings us to the engine of all growth, the cycle of improvement.
And the engine for this whole thing is a concept called deliberate practice. Now, this is so much more than just putting in the hours. It's not about mindlessly clicking buttons for 10,000 hours. It's a focused, motivated loop. You act, you get feedback, you figure out what to change, and you do it all over again, but a little bit better this time.
And Beggs boils this down brilliantly into this simple but incredibly powerful four-step cycle. You trade, you meticulously record what you did and why you did it. You review your performance to find out where the leaks are, and then you implement specific, targeted improvements. This loop, you just repeat it over and over and over. That's the path. So, how do we apply that cycle in the real world? This is where the rubber really meets the road. See, Beggs doesn't just leave us with these cool-sounding concepts. He lays out a concrete, four-stage roadmap that turns this abstract journey into a tangible, step-by-step process that you can actually follow. And what's so cool about seeing it laid out like this is how it turns this huge, scary goal into something manageable. You start at stage 1, and you don't even think about stage 2 until you've absolutely nailed stage 1. It's all about logical, clear steps.
So stage 1, this is all about building a rock-solid foundation. And notice what's missing here. You're not trading for profit. Before you risk a single dollar, you're doing the real work. You're reading, you're learning the theory, and, this is huge, you're documenting your own personal trading plan. You set up your journals and you spend serious time, he suggests at least 100 historical sessions, just practicing your analysis on paper and in a simulator, without even placing trades yet. This is about building that analytical muscle in a totally risk-free zone.
Okay, once that foundation is solid, you graduate to stage 2, the simulator. Now, the absolute key here is to treat it like it is 100% real. You follow every single one of your professional routines, from your pre-market prep to your post-market review.
The goal isn't to get rich with monopoly money. The goal is to prove you can execute your plan with discipline, consistently. And here's the rule. You have to be profitable for 4 straight weeks before you can even think about moving on. Non-negotiable.
Stage 3. This is the big leap. You're going live, but, and this is probably the most important part of the whole plan, you're using a critical safety net, the smallest possible position size. I mean, we're talking an amount of money so small, it doesn't trigger your fear or your greed. The goal here is not profit. I'm going to say that again. The goal is process. Can you do what you're supposed to do when real money is on the line? That's the only question. And just like before, 4 straight profitable weeks is your ticket to the next stage.
And finally, you get to stage 4. This is where you can start to slowly, methodically increase your size. But look, this is not a race to the finish line. Every single time you want to increase your risk, you have to prove yourself all over again at that new level. Each bump in size requires its own 4-week block of proving you can handle it. This whole process makes sure that you never outrun your own competence. Survival and consistency always come first.
Of course, no journey is a straight line, right? You're gonna run into challenges. You'll have losing streaks, moments of doubt. So what do you do when you inevitably hit a wall?
The first, the best, the most powerful tool in your toolbox is this: reduce size. If you're struggling in the live market, you immediately drop back to your minimum size. If you're still struggling, you go back to the simulator. This is not failure. It's a smart, strategic retreat. It instantly lowers the psychological pressure and gives you the mental space to focus on your process again, not the money.
The next tool? Simplify. Go through your journal, look at your records, find out what's really working for you. Maybe it's just one specific setup or one particular market. Focus exclusively on that one strength. Get rid of all the other stuff that's just causing confusion or losses. The goal is simple. Do more of what works and stop doing what doesn't.
And when you're just feeling completely overwhelmed, when the idea of being profitable just seems miles away, shrink your entire world down to this one simple focus. One good trade. That's it. Forget the week, forget the month. Your only job is to execute the very next trade, from entry to exit, as perfectly as your plan says you should. Then, do it again. Stringing together those small wins is how you rebuild confidence and find your rhythm.
And through all of this, please remember this quote. The author includes it for a very important reason. Growth is an erratic forward movement, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Remember that and be very gentle with yourself. You know, progress is not a smooth, straight line pointing up. Setbacks are a normal, even necessary part of learning anything this difficult. The key is to learn from them without letting them crush you. So what this entire framework really does is shift your focus completely. It pulls you away from that frantic, desperate search for a secret system, and it points you toward a deliberate, methodical process of developing yourself. It is a longer path for sure. It's a harder path, but it's also a path that's actually grounded in reality. So the only question left is, are you ready to start the journey?